Welcome back. This is Mark Stump, October 2013, and I'm continuing with the basics, those things which you would probably find, which you would certainly find in your owner's manual. So I'd like to talk about focus modes. And there are a couple different things we can talk about. One is just the focus point. So when it comes to a focus point, you can allow the camera to choose what point to focus on, which is something that I would generally be against, because the camera doesn't know what you want, only you know what you want. I think it's okay in a couple of situations. If the action is just too fast for you. If it's so fast, if you're shooting a golfer or you're pretty close to a soccer player or runner, and you just cannot choose your own focus points, then let the camera choose. It'll be very quick. It might be wrong 15-20% of the time, but it'll be very quick, and you'll get the shot you want the other 80% of the time. So that's one time when I would let the camera choose the focus point or points, when the action is just too fast. The other time is maybe you're just taking a portrait and you do have plenty of time, but you find that the camera's selection is so good that most of the time it chooses what you want. So you just pay attention to what it's doing. Push the button halfway down, the boxes appear, it says this is in focus, this is in focus, this is in focus. And you say good, and you push the button. If on the other hand you push the buttons down and it says this notebook is in focus, then you just don't take that shot. You just let your finger off the button, try it again, and when you try it again, maybe you'll get the answer you want, and then you take that picture. So that would be letting the camera choose, but reserving a veto power. So okay, did we cover those then? You can let the camera choose, or you can choose. You can use your controls to choose your point, and you can choose a fixed point or a tracking point. So, for instance, you can choose something. You can choose a bit of color, or you might just choose a subject's eye. And if you have it in that tracking mode, then when I move, the camera will try to maintain focus on whatever it was that you first pointed at. Okay, so manual focus. Did I talk about manual focus? I think not. I think we so far talked about focus point. We've talked about letting the camera choose the focus point, about you choosing the fixed focus point, and then about a tracking point. Now then something else we have to talk about is single servo and continuous focus. And so we're still in the autofocus. Eventually I'll remind you that there's such a thing as manual focus, but so we're still in the category of autofocus. There are a couple ways to autofocus. You can push the button halfway down. The camera will focus in some small fraction of a second, hopefully, and then it'll beep at you. You push the button halfway down. It makes a little noise and beeps, and then you can take your shot. But as long as you hold your finger, as long as you hold the shutter button halfway down, that focus is locked. So in the old days, now I have 51 autofocus points. In the old film days, I only had one focus point. And that thing that you want in focus you might not always want it in the exact center of the photo. And especially if you're taking a picture of, for instance, two people. So you have two people here, and if you want to use that center focus point, and you want that center focus, the center of the frame, to be right here in your final picture, what you could do is you could point at one of the faces, focus on the eye, point so that center focal point is here, push the button halfway down, listen to the beep, then recompose and take the shot. Recompose while you hold the button halfway down. In single servo, so that's what single servo is about. It's about getting a focus and locking it. And it'll be locked until either you take the picture or you let your hand off the, or let your finger off the shutter button. It'll be locked as long as you hold it halfway down or take the shot, or until you take the shot. So then there's also, okay, so that's single servo. Then there's also continuous focus. Continuous focus, you push the button halfway down, the lens starts to focus, and it doesn't stop trying. It never locks focus. It just keeps trying. So, you know, if you're taking if you're taking a person of someone dancing or whatever, or moving toward you, you might want to use continuous focus. You certainly don't want to lock the focus for very long while the person is moving toward you or away from you. Okay, and then please remember that your camera has manual. And there are a couple times when I like to use manual. Actually, I'm using manual right now because I know how far away I'm going to be standing. I focus on this point right here. I know I'm going to stay pretty close to this. So I focus on it, and then I don't worry that the camera will get confused or decide to make all kinds of noise focusing. On a shot like this, I believe I kept the autofocus on. Single point, single servo. But I didn't have to. Since we were here for several hours, and I probably took at least 50 shots with different lenses and while the clouds moved. But I probably could have set all those lenses to infinity and been perfectly happy, since everything here is pretty much at infinity. Another time I like to use manual focus is for what's called macro work, when you get very close to something kind of small. A flower or a bug. So you have that flower or bug there, and maybe you want to take the shot as close as you can. And the way to do that is the way that I do it is to put the camera on manual focus, and then turn the focus ring to the nearest focus, and then I move the camera in and out, and I find that minimum focus distance. Now, so you move the camera in and out, and maybe it's there. Maybe your camera can focus this close. So you move it in and out, and you look for that focus, and then when you find it, you take the picture. You could do that other ways. You could also I probably wouldn't try single servo in that instance, unless you're using a tripod. If you're hand holding that macro shot, then I suppose I'd try continuous focus or manual if I trusted myself. So anyway, those are some focus modes. You can read about them in your manual, but thank you very much for watching.